Hello, beautiful people of the planet Earth. I'm back for another one of my hopefully calm, cool, and collected rants. I, uh, I've, for those of you that don't know, well, there's a lot of ways you can save money and stress on your biggest investment, right? It's called commonly around the world your biggest investment, your home, right, or real estate. And I can guarantee you they're a good agent or a good broker can save you a whole lot of money and a whole lot of headaches. But you may not be asking all the right questions. Okay? Um, I'm taking it on as my personal and professional mission to disrupt the real estate industry, right? There's a lot of that going on. Disruption is everywhere. There is no industry that is safe from disruption as long as it is still in a position in which you could provide a more exceptional service for a more reasonable value, scale it, make it a lot more accessible. There's a lot of things that are changing. We're beyond the industrial age and we're into the age when many of us can do a whole lot more ourselves. And the real estate industry is one of those that has been somewhat insulated from disruption, and I don't mean to be hurtful here at all, I believe it's subject a whole lot to people's just ignorance of how it works behind the green curtain of real estate. And so I wanted to take some time to make sure people, I want to teach people what they wish they would have known, right? I want to be one of the early adopters in making sure that my children are doing business and your children are doing business in a way that is above board and that is actually looking out for each other's interests and still providing a good living for everybody involved, right? So, what do I have posted here, right? What is this little 5%? What is this buyer's agency fee of 5%, right? A lot of people in the public, think that it costs 6% to sell a house, right? And traditionally that's how it's worked. And they take 3% of that and give it, the listing agency will keep that, and their job is marketing, packaging, representing, and promoting the property in such a way that they then attract the highest and best buyer, to whose agent they're then offering 3%. For just ease of math, we're going to say 6% split 3 and 3, right? And that's how it's worked for years. Buyer's agency came in the late 70s and so that's when they started splitting the cake and all that stuff. And what's going on here with this, is, to me, it's a problem. Sellers feel it coming out of their equity. They feel 6% coming out of their equity, right? But equity is not cash. Equity is only the difference between what something's worth and what somebody will pay for it, market value, and what is owed against it. That's equity, right? Capital is always, the buyer always does the buying. The buyer always pays for everything. I've always kind of wondered about that. It's like, okay, so there's 6% over here, and who's paying for that? Well, seller's feeling it, but the buyer's mortgaging it, right, for 30 years. That's wrapped into the cost of doing business there, right? So, a little story about when all this started unraveling for me, at least ethically speaking, how I had to sleep with myself over it is, I've been doing this almost 20 years. And back in, 2007, 8, 9, people couldn't afford a whole lot. And money was tight with all kinds of industries and such. And I had a young couple that came to me, and I sat them down, ran the script of, hey, I Would love to be your agent. It's how I make a living. By the way, I'm worth 3%, but don't worry, we'll get that from the seller, right? Sign here. But what isn't clearly conveyed in that particular script of, what is perceived in the market of, don't worry, buyer's agencies work for free. Buyer will work for free for you. I've even seen that published all over, and it just makes me mad. But there's a clause in that exclusive buyer's agency agreement that says buyer is obligated to pay buyer's agency's fee, right? Buyer is obligated. But the buyer's agency is authorized to accept payment in whole or in part from the listing agency, from the seller. And I had this young couple, they were in their late 20s. They had scraped and saved for years to do it right? They were going to put 20% down. Their first-time home buyers wanted something around $150,000. And they had whatever, $40,000, $50,000. I don't even know exactly how much they'd saved, but it was a fat 5 figures. And they were anticipating approximately $34,000 to go down on a $150,000 house. It's a lot of money. And I'd sat down with them, had a contract with them, showed them a few houses, hadn't showed them very many, right? Turn around, they fall in love with this little house, and they're ready to buy it. So I go to write it up, and do you know why the MLS exists? The multiple listing service exists as a publishing platform between agencies. In public information, you can find out anything you want about properties, about who's owned it, about when it was last sold, how big it is, when it was built. You can find all that in public information. But the MLS exists to publish what the agency cooperative fee is. Again, right over here, 5% buyer's agency fee, right? So it's published out there on this particular property that I was helping this couple with. It was a $150,000 property, and they didn't know that on this particular property they were offering a 6% buyer's agency cooperative fee. So here I am. I get all excited real quick because I'm sitting here going, oh gee, $150,000 sale. I'm going to make $9,000. And then it dawned on me that I had a conflict because that clause says in whole or in part. And I realized that I had been incentivized, right, against my client's best interest. They really wanted a better deal. That $4,500 took them a whole lot longer to save than it would have taken me to work that month with them towards that end. And ever since then, I've been doing what I can to change things, to make sure that people knew what's going on, to make sure that I'm honest and forthright, and that I'm clear and vulnerable and transparent and just straightforward with people. And my job is to provide a more exceptional service for a more reasonable value. So what got this particular rant started was that right there. 5%, right there. I saw this property come out yesterday, and I'd already talked to the seller before. I've dealt with him before, and he was for sale by owner for a little while, and I called him up and I said, I can get that thing sold for you and keep you at a flat fee of about $15,000 would be sufficient. You don't have any obligation to pay 6%, 3%, 4%. And this is an $800,000 property that we're talking about here. So that's over $40,000. $40,000. So I can guarantee you there's a whole bunch of agents out there, especially when an $800,000 property hits the market anyway. That's a $24,000 cookie that a lot of agents are incentivized to try to find a buyer for. So, um, but that's not clearly published out there for all those buyers that are out there that may find this property, may be interested in this property now, and may call up some friend and family because, or somebody that they have a relationship with who holds a real estate license that they trust to actually generate a good deal for them on this property, right? So just know that I consider that approximately a $5,000 value of service. If you call me up and you show me a property, I have to show you a property. I'm going out, show you one or two or three properties, and then you're going to buy one. That's really about a $5,000 value of service trade. Okay? But if you want to call me up on this one and you're not really worried about the nickels and dimes of things, then, be it known my agency will be cooperating at the tune of about 40 grand on that. So if you want to save about 30 grand on an $800,000 property, feel free to give me a call. Or any property. If you want to save money, save stress, there's ways to do that and ensure that you are actually getting a value for the dollars and the cents that hopefully asking the right questions will make for you. I do advocate for the consumer. That's what I've chosen to do now. I have chosen now my new avocation is going to be teaching people what they wish they would have known, right? Teaching people how to do this themselves. If you know of anybody who needs to do it on their own or wants to or just wants to experience being their own representative, have them give me a call. That's what I do. I love coaching and providing support services so those that I'm given to serve may meet or exceed their goals and expectations. Okay? And if you know of anybody who wants to save money and stress on their real estate dealings or improvement cooperatives, give me a call. I will be packaging much of this information up in a video seminar series on how to sell your home on your own on alternative platforms, and to do so with or without an agent. That's up to you. If you feel like you need an intermediary that's professionally licensed and a fiduciary of I took an oath to preserve, protect, and promote my client's interest. Not the interest of my brokerage, not the interest of the industry. Okay? And for my clients, I've been saving them over $8 grand per transaction for the past 5 years. I left RE/MAX over 5 years ago to do this, to actually go out and test the marketplace and find new alternative methods of actually providing a more exceptional service and just getting things done without stressors. And I've got another rant coming here probably within the next week about the new MLS clear cooperation policy. Okay. I actually was at a real estate training, real estate licensure. It was continuing ed, and I heard the trainer using the terminology that we used to have a stranglehold on the marketplace with the inventory, with the MLS, right? And I believe that they're feeling threatened, but I'll go into that rant later because it is very much so not perfectly aligned with what the consumer's highest and best interests may well be all the time. Life is subject to change, and everybody has their own plans and initiatives for doing things and should have those preserved, protected, and promoted. So feel free to give me a call anytime, 479-200-4718, or you can find our website at realtyepic.com, and also my YouTube channel will be becoming populated with this content here shortly, and I really hope y'all are going to have a beautiful day. All right, bye-bye.